Hello and welcome to the Leaders in Live series. Brought to you by Magnite, I'll be joined by sports industry experts to discuss the power of live sport and how technology can unlock amazing opportunities for advertisers and their agency partners. Last year, the Matildas World Cup semi-final against England smashed live TV viewing records. That moment felt like a real turning point for women's sports and fandom in this country. To discuss this, I'm joined by Rachel Page from Seven. Welcome to Leaders in Live, Rachel.
Thank you.
Look, I wanted to start off with looking at audience demographics and how they've shifted recently. Have you noticed a change? For example, are we now seeing more women watching sport on live streaming?
Yeah, definitely. Particularly the last sort of 5 years, there has been an increase in viewing, and that has been led by women. They're up about 17%. You know, men love to watch all sport. I think they just love sport. Women will will watch when they're connected to a sport. For example, the Women's World Cup obviously drove a lot more women to watch sport. You know, the Super Bowl, the Taylor Swift effect.
It's really interesting that you raised the Matildas. I mean, that was obviously a huge TV moment, wasn't it? And you had a lot of people also watching that, live streaming and watching it across the board.
Yeah.
But women's sport has kind of been on the rise for a while, hasn't it? What do you think is really driving that?
I mean, the Women's World Cup, what a massive cultural moment for Australia. It was sort of an event, you don't get that many events these days that bring people together where they can simultaneously talk about something together, whether it be in the classroom or at home or in the workplace. But I think the number one reason that was so successful and other events is that it was live and free to every single Australian. Every boy, every girl, every family, you know, every person in a home or unit without an aerial, which is about 34% of homes, was able to watch that live and free on 7+. So, you know, that accessibility is the number one barrier to watching women's sport. There's a societal shift happening as well, which I thought is really beautiful, and that is, you know, all the young boys that were inspired by, you know, the Matildas and the Sam Kerrs and that sort of thing. What a moment where, you know, all these young boys were cheering them on and wearing the jerseys and going to the matches and talking about it.
Rachel, let's talk tech. What are some of the tech enhancements that Seven has implemented to help in things like audience addressability, precision targeting, that sort of stuff?
Sure. Yeah, so delivering to our brands is really, really important. And we do that through a number of ways. So whether it be personalisation to our audience through, you know, recommendations on platform, whether it be our 7 Red IQ, which stores our data and insights of our 13.7 million registered users. I would also say that these new audiences, in terms of the ability and addressability to target, we have about 300,000 audience that consumed the last 2 Olympics and the Women's World Cup sitting in 7 Red IQs. We have all this rich knowledge, insights and data, and we can share that, so we can help plan campaigns, whether it be looking at women and how they consume sport, how people consume Olympics, before, after and during, how they consume sport by device, by program and time of day. So that really does help with planning and buying as well, whether you're after a light viewer, whether you're after, you know, a female that's actually watches a lot of sport. And the other thing is we are working with a company called Databricks, and we're looking at 7 predictive audiences. We've got about 92% accuracy out to 28 days on our audiences on 7+. So what we can do with that is work with our clients and our brands and partners to predict the audiences. So that makes buying, there's so much confidence in that. And the other way that we can target our fans is through new innovation with our platform, where we are able to target audience as soon as they subscribe to 7+. So we really are giving our fans a great experience from the start, as soon as they hop on, and giving brands the opportunity to access these rich and valuable audiences in real time.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, just picking up on that, in terms of the brands that are now coming to Seven because of this new tech and because you have live streaming and you're sort of activating against that, how much does it sort of level the playing field in terms of brands and being a much lower sort of barrier to entry than traditional linear? Previously,
we had the television rights. We had major brands on board and fully integrated in sponsorships and so forth, whereas 7+ and streaming will unlock the opportunity for advertisers, whether it be, direct or programmatically, to come onto the platform in larger ways or in small targeted ways.
Okay, I'm interested to hear a little bit more about in terms of your plans for AFL, for your live streaming AFL, men's and women's.
Yes.
Can you share some of those details?
I think one of the innovations is that 30-second spot, which is the most in-demand 30-second spot, is that moment when a wicket is taken in cricket or there's a goal in football, and we are going to make that available, from a digital point of view as of September, which has not been done before. So that's a great innovation. I think in terms of working with our partners, including Magnite and tech partners, to do what we call at 7 Eve, which is enhancing our advertiser and viewer experience. So we do that in multiple ways, thinking about how we deliver content messages, in a living room, or how we deliver a content message through a second screen and the mobile, picture-in-picture, and various other forms whereby we're making sure that we're delivering the right message at the right time.
Final question. We've obviously touched on the Matildas and how they're bringing a lot of new fans into women's sports. What other sports out there do you think is sort of going to be the next big TV hit? It's a tough question. But...
Oh, of course. Well, because we're about to go into AFL and cricket with women's, and that's a lot of our world at the moment.
Yep.
Clearly, that's going to provide a lot of new audience. But one thing I do know is whatever the next big thing is in women's sport, it needs to be live and free to all Australians.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rachel.
Pleasure. Thank you.